Excellent.
All right. So
Oh, good job. There
here
you
we
are.
go.
There
All
he
right. There
is.
he is, the man of the hour, Robert Baxter.
Yes.
Roberto,
Good
Thank you.
morning.
Thank you for
good
joining us. Good
morning. How are you
morning.
guys?
Good,
Doing
good.
well, thank you.
Thanks.
I heard you. I heard you mention some while ago that I constantly harp about, and that's communication. I
Yes.
mean, that is
Yes.
the major problem in any business is communication. You got to have it. So
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because otherwise, you need to be on the same page,
always.
working as a team. So
So, Robert, for those that have not heard of you or your name or your
yes.
business, which may be hard to do, because I know you've been around this town for a long time and been in and out of a lot of things. So, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and how you've been involved in the local communities here.
Yes.
Okay. I started in business in 1976, and I know that seemed like a long time ago. And if you can look at me, you can see it was a long time ago. But but that's okay. I mean, I started early. I was 26 years old, and I was out to kill the world. So, and I did quite well. By the time we were in the 90s and the 2000s, we were the largest non-shop, non-union electrical shop in the state of Oklahoma. So we were running 30 something trucks and 100 employees. That was madness. It was crazy.
Wow.
Uh, anyway, and so I went through all that. Was in an accident, and also I was involved in basically everything you could think of in Edmond, every civic club, and I was in won a couple of national awards on
Mm-hmm.
different things I did, and
Mm.
uh, I ran for mayor in 1996. I didn't win, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, not winning. It's
Oh my
crazy,
gosh.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
great.
politics is a whole nother
Yeah.
world. So, I know
Oh, I'm
people
telling
have
you.
these aspirations of helping, but man, let me tell you, woo!
Lot. It's a
And
lot.
small town politics is even worse. I mean, there's like,
Right.
oh my gosh. Anyway,
Right.
but I was involved in about everything you could think of. But I was in an accident and I hurt my leg and I decided to sell. So I sold the business and retired. And about a year or a year and a half into retirement, I was so bored with doing nothing except watching daytime TV, which will drive you crazy. And then so I went back in business, just doing a service company only. So we don't do all the new houses or new brand new jobs you see. We just do service only with remodels and room additions and stuff like that. But anyway, and we've done quite well.
Okay.
Like the family's involved in it, and I got my daughter, my son-in-law, grandson, granddaughter. I got the whole darn family in there.
Oh, that's
That's
great.
awesome. I like
Yeah,
family
I love
businesses.
that.
So,
Yes,
yeah, kudos to
absolutely.
you for doing that.
So that sort of ties into a question that we had for you. If you split residential business and if you go into commercial business at all for
What?
repairs
I'm
and
sorry. What was your question again?
So, do you do residential and commercial, or just do focus on residential for
No,
the
we
wiring?
do
for the
everything.
wire?
We
Okay.
residential, commercial, industrial. We'll do anything.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You
Okay.
want lights in your doghouse? We'll do it.
Oh,
All
wow.
right, so
So
that's
that's,
the next kind of
yeah.
lead in, which is, and this is a loaded question, and this is
Yes.
where, okay, listen, we only have so many minutes, but
Right.
give us like your top, 10 or whatever installations that
That,
you provide
that,
that most people ask for, and then maybe you can throw in something that blew you away and went, what did you want me to do for
right.
you? Just to say, hey,
Something out of the ordinary.
I thought I've seen everything until this guy comes along. So,
Right.
what do you
Oh,
have on that side?
we kind of get that every day, dealing with people day in and day out. We have thousands of customers, and it's always something crazy going on. But we do electric chargers has become the big deal now for the electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of those. We do generators. We're an authorized dealer for Generac, so we sell them and maintain them and warranty, and we have the financing for them. Everything that you want to do with generators, and the generators have become a big deal lately, especially with Aaron being in
Mm-hmm.
the weather business. What we're dealing with in Oklahoma with the powers out. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, you have these generators. Boom, you don't even know the power's off. like it's a blink and they're back on again. So,
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
but just about anything you can think of, we do a lot of lighting for like the new LED lights. I had a lady tell me the other day, what is LED? Well, it's light emitting diode. It's the little tiny diodes that sit in there and they replace the incandescent bulb that everybody thinks about. So anyway, we do everything. You name it, we do it.
Okay.
Okay.
So with all the basically homes are turning into smart homes, right?
Right.
So has that become more of an issue in your industry of trying to keeping up with? Has it made things easier for you? Kind of dive into that a little bit. How everything is now so interconnected.
Well, we really just started getting into it more and more and more. Okay, so there's all these new things that come up. Well,
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost him again.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, they're having some technical difficulties over there.
Right.
Okay. So we'll get Robert here back in a second. So this is where you have to. This is where you have to learn how to tap dance
Oh, right.
on live TV.
That's right.
I was
It
telling-
happens.
Lost you.
Right.
Let's see. Just click the link. So I don't know what's going on with this link today.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the first time this has happened. So.
Yeah, we've never had where we've lost
Mm-mm.
more than once.
So there's a internet
Not at
issue
all.
somewhere, either his end, my end, somebody's end.
Right. Oh, I hear him.
All right, there he is again.
Yeah.
That's all right. They like,
That's
no
okay.
problem. We hear them. They're sorry.
Hold that thought.
technology. And we lose each other, yeah. I know.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, welcome to the new digital age.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're able to get back. See, now you got the hang of this, and now
Yeah.
when it drops, you know exactly
Sure.
what to do and how to hook it right back up.
My granddaughter is sitting right there.
Yeah.
She has the hang of it. Okay, you know when when you get to be a grand Paul like me, then you go to your children and say, "Wait a minute, how does this work?"
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
I got you.
That's
There's
good.
a
You got
big
your.
difference between electricity and electronics. So
Right.
it's
That's
a
a good-
Oh, there is.
That's a good point. Okay, so we kind of touch base on how the smart home functionality kind of continues to
Right.
grow, and
with-
that kind of goes into the next part of that.
With about the surge protectors.
Well,
Right?
yeah, I was going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
I was going to tie into this one first, which was
Oh, what type of cool and modern home features are customers wanting these days with inside their home or outside their home?
mainly the LED lighting and the up lighting outside to make their house pretty and stuff. And you know, and they think they can be sold on all that stuff they get from solar. Well, I guarantee you, you buy that stuff on the internet, it'll break down. We'll come out and replace it for you, because that's what happens. Is people go for, oh wait a minute, that didn't cost very much. Let's do that. Let's not hire an electrician. Oh, okay, and then when it breaks down, we come out and fix it for you. And if they'd done it right to begin with, then they wouldn't have to worry about it. One thing I do want to warn people about is electrical is a dangerous business. I mean, it's why we're confident people, okay? And because of that, don't hire your friend down the street. Don't hire your uncle. Don't hire your buddy. Hire an electrician. That's why we carry so much insurance and we pay so much in insurance, because we have to do things to do it right. We are licensed contractors and licensed electricians. And when you hire some guy down the street that's charging half what we do, that's what you're going to get. Half of what we do.
True.
yeah.
So-
I know there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there that can. It doesn't take many amps to ruin your day, does it, Robert?
No,
Right.
no.
I mean, even if I get a little shock, I'm like, eek.
Yeah.
Electrical to me, yeah.
I had a lady call me one day and she said she was so mad at her husband. You know, he hung this paddle fan and he messed it up. And, oh my God, can you come redo it for me? I said, sure. And she went on and on. She was so mad at him. And I said, well, what's your husband do? She said, well, he's a lawyer. I said, well, I got a great idea. Why don't you let him practice law? Let us do your electrical. And I just saved your marriage.
Oh, Oh, so now you're a marriage counselor too. That's awesome. We're good to go. Okay, so we're going to talk about the with all the new electronics and how things can be very sensitive. In today example,
Yes.
how well do those surge protectors that people buy, like at the local big box stores, work? And
Yes.
or when is it time to kind of maybe move from that and get what we call a lightning arrestor? Can you kind of go into the difference?
Well, yeah, what you got to remember if you have a strip that you plug your TV or your computer or whatever in, it only protects right there. And it's not very good anyway. How much did you pay for that little strip? Not a lot. We put them on out in your panel, in your breaker box, okay? So that's where the lightning arrestor, or actually it's more of a surge protector. Because the surge can come in from OG&E or Edmund Electric or whoever you have. Or lightning could hit, fall to the ground, fall the wires in, and come into your house that way. Okay, that's the surge. Okay, this takes it and grabs it and stops it immediately. Okay, don't ask me how all that works inside that little box, but I know it does. And we sell a lot of them, and they work great, and they have warranties and all this good stuff. We sell maybe 10 a week, seven to 10, several a week.
I
So
didn't
they
know
work.
that you could put that right into your electrical box. That's a great feature.
Now that is the surge protector you're talking about, correct?
Or a surge arrestor. I
Oh,
mean,
the
either way,
arrestor.
they arrestor, protector. It's
Okay.
kind of called both things.
So when I go look at a house, and I always go into the electrical panel because I want to see if they have room to add to it, or if it's at its max, or what the voltage is. How would I know if I'm looking at something that is already surge protected or arrested?
Well, there should be a sticker in there, and there should also be a breaker right there, and there
Okay.
should be a little device that's got a little green light on it. If it turns red, you got problems. You want to call your electrician back. So,
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for that.
but you know what? You said the right thing. When you go in to buy a house, you really should open that box up, look at that breaker panel, and see. You know, and I'll tell you something else. There are certain breakers that if we see them, we can't touch because it's illegal. They're like Federal Pacific, and there's a whole list. Zensko. Anyway, there's a whole list of them that if we see them, we can't even get into them. We can't touch them because by law,
Right.
well, let's say the breaker is tripped, okay, and so there's a problem somewhere. Well, we can reset it, but if we open that up and try to get inside of it, uh, number one, we can't find a breaker to replace it. They're antiquated. They're gone. They're history. They don't make them anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so what do I do now? Well, and then the customer's not going to like this, but you got to change the whole box out, and between changing that out and maybe having to change out your service outside at the same time. And normally, if it's a 100 amp service, you want to go ahead and upgrade to a 200 amp. Why not?
Right.
You're already there. It's only going to cost a few dollars more, a couple $100 more. You can get a 200 amp instead of a 100 amp. So we go ahead and try to talk them into upgrading. Okay. First of all, we don't sell people things they don't need. I will tell you that some companies do that, and I'm not going to name them, but it irritates me that especially they try to do that to the elderly, and it really ticks me off
Right.
because don't sell people things they don't need. If you need it, I'm going to tell you, and you can take it to the bank. That's the truth. So you got to treat your customers right.
Oh, agreed. And you
Absolutely.
actually tied into one of the questions we wanted to know. First off, and you may know the answer to this, and it's probably cost savings. But why do most new home constructions and even the older ones have the standard 100 amp panel versus say maybe a 200 amp?
Right.
And then you obviously answered the second part of that, which is you can upgrade, and it seems to be fairly easy to do.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. Okay, because a builder's cheap. I'm
Okay.
sorry, and I don't mean to offend builders, but if they can get away with a 100 amp, that's going to save them a few $100s. They'll do it
Okay.
instead of putting in a 200 amp. Or when they
Sure.
put in a 100 or 200 amp, they'll put in a panel that's just what they need instead of giving you any extra Like
Right.
if you want to add circuits or something, you can't
That's
add
right.
'em because the panel's full.
Yeah.
Because the
Yes.
builders are just cheap. I
See,
mean,
and
I hate to
that's
say it, but that's the truth.
no, I know. That's
Nope.
why I go immediately to the electrical panel because I want to see. I need to know for
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
client, right?
Well,
So,
that's good. I'm glad you're honest in that. And that's why, again,
right,
they call these the insider interview series because we want to
right.
know what goes on behind the scenes, since that answers that issue.
Learned that.
So back to the panels.
Okay,
As far as being, and you just brought up a good question.
right.
If the panel's full, it's a 100 amp panel, and you get a hot tub, or you get some device that requires like a 220 volt line.
Yeah.
I'm, this is in my case. I can
What?
use kind of an example. Do you normally just, if you can, pop out a couple of different breakers and combine them? What's usually the workaround if your panel's full and you do need that?
Well, there's two choices. Number one is just what you just said. You can go from a thick breaker to a thin breaker. Okay, so what they've allowed you to do is to say take out two thicks and put in four thins. So that what happens, that gives you the extra 220 circuit that you need to wire for something else. Now, on the other hand, we have to determine what's in that panel already. So if I add another 50 amp circuit for a charger or for whatever, then am I going to overload that panel? And then you get to the point of breaking point where you have to tell people, look, I'm not trying to sell you this just to sell you this, but you need to upgrade your panel. Because you can go down through there and go, look, you got a double 450, double 430, another 50, another 30, and all these 20. You need to go to a 200 amp panel. So,
Right, because I guess what could happen is you could start tripping the breakers if you've got too much running at one time, correct?
that's not a good idea, but yes, you could.
You could if you have too much on one panel, and then that would require you to upgrade it. Because,
Right,
right? Yeah.
right.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we have a question. I'm gonna just pop into this one because I kind of like this question.
Which one are we doing? Oh, for the smart
What's your
meters?
yeah? What's your thought on smart meters and the 5G?
Smart meters. I think it's advantageous for the city.
Okay,
Of course.
sure.
Sure.
And for the power company.
Yes.
I don't know that it really helps the normal consumer that much,
Okay.
but they're okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to brag on them a lot because it's just not that big a deal to
Right.
me.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we had another question from Isaac.
From Isaac. Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to we were talking about, well, this was an interesting. He goes, for the electricians, he says, do you cover lightning rods and keeping wiring electronics from getting fried inside your home? How to do it yourself or what to look for? Okay, so we talked about the
Right.
lightning arresters. We talked about
We
home
did.
surge protectors, but we did not discuss lightning rods. So his question is, do you guys deal with lightning rods? And if so, do you have any tips or suggestions for the wiring of
I
that,
can,
etc.?
I can tell you that nobody I know can afford them. Okay, the you have to install them on the house. They're very expensive to install, very expensive to wire for. There's just nothing cheap about it. I don't know anybody, not me or any of my friends, that have any because they're just really expensive. And I don't think they really do their job that great anyway. I don't think anybody's been able to prove or disprove. Do they help or not help? So,
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
That's good. All right. Then you had your
Okay.
question
So
wherever you're going.
I was talking about if you offer any kind of warranty on the workmanship that you provide.
yeah, we offer just carte blanche 1 year warranty on everything. Okay,
Okay.
but I mean, I had a lady call me the other day about some little deal, and it'd been 2.5 years since I was there. But I'm trying to help my customers, so I go out and I fix it. And she's a little old lady; she needed help. Okay, so we go fix it for her. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a year, more than a year, I'd probably still do it.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
And I know everybody normally has normal working hours, and I'm assuming in every field, whether it's plumbing or electrician, nothing ever happens during 9 to 5. So
Right.
obviously, you probably guys are available after hours, weekends, etc.
Boy, I tell you, that is so true, Aaron. Uh, it's like the minute 5:01 comes, the phone rings, or maybe 7:59 before I get there at 8. But the point is, you're right.
Yeah.
Anything that can happen will happen.
That's right.
So my phone stays with me all the time, and there's a number that it automatically goes into, and it goes into that, and it will come into my phone. Hopefully, it works better than the phone's working today. But anyway, uh, so
Right.
it goes into my phone. So and then we have, well, it's just hard not to get a hold of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
You know, we didn't ask this, but it's common, so I wanted to bring this up. You've seen it, I'm sure, or maybe you've had people come in and request it. With all the extravagant pools that are now happening with these custom bills with the lighting and the fancy waterfalls and everything else,
Yes.
have you been tasked to go in either post build, or do you get tasked to go in while it's being built, or do you have any association with that part of it?
All the above. We've done it, like I'd really rather do it at the beginning, so we can follow the whole thing all the way through. But we've taken over jobs that are halfway through, and we've taken over jobs that they got through, and believe it or not, they didn't have a contractor's license and they couldn't pull a permit. So we had to actually go in, finish it up, do everything that we do, and then call in a permit to the city. That's it happened just a while back. Yeah.
Okay.
So we do it, but we do everything. I mean, there's no excuse for experience. In my experience, and the people that work for me, it's just gone on like my son-in-law. That's my supervisor. I'm almost I'm going on 50 years in business. In 3 years, it'll be 50 years in business. And with him, he's been doing it for 30 something years, 40 years. So, I mean, he's been around a while. So we have a lot of combined experience.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
So
I didn't put this question up before we get to the wrapping up, but Isaac is on top of it. He just wants. He's reminiscing about Clark Griswold and trying to beat the Joneses,
Right.
and light up his home into a beacon in the night.
Right.
Do you?
How not to burn it
Yeah,
down.
and do that successfully without burning the whole neighborhood down with it.
Right.
So, do you have any tips for those that do get a little excited on Christmas as
Yeah,
to be successful in that endeavor?
yeah, I can tell you exactly how to do it. My telephone number, I'll send it to you.
Yes. Love it.
Call us. And remember, our motto is always, if you can't find your shorts, call us.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good. I love
That's our
that.
motto.
So
Yeah, he needs to find an electrician to do his lights.
All right, if you're gonna go that extravagant,
Yes.
hire a pro so that
Yeah.
you don't really mess things
that's
up.
right.
You know what? Okay, so speaking of kind of when you are looking for a pro and you do want somebody to do the job for you, can you, and you did mention one earlier, and see if there's any more in this industry, but any red flags somebody needs to watch out for?
Companies or things? What exactly do you mean?
When hiring an electrician,
When hiring an electrician, yeah.
what are some red flags to look
Yeah,
for?
The answer to that is, if you find electricians that are really, really cheap, then I would be worried about it. Okay. On the other hand, if you find them that are really, really expensive, I'd be worried about that too. You need to find somebody in the middle, and that's where I think we are. We're in the middle. But there are a couple of companies out there that are national companies. I'm not going to name them, but they work off a commission. So they will come in, and we don't. We work by the hour. Okay. Strictly. That's the only way I run my business is by the hour. But some of these companies work by commission. They come in, and if they don't sell you something, the electrician's not making any money. Okay, so you have to be careful of that. And they're national companies, not local. So
Okay, and then I guess you would have to be governed by the
a code of
state.
ethics.
Yeah, well,
that
let's
too,
talk
the
about
code of
that. Okay,
ethics,
so let's
yes.
talk about state versus national when it comes to codes, when it comes to certifications,
Right.
the categories. How well can a electrician be licensed? In other words, are there different levels of getting a license? So that may be one of the biggest red flags to look for is certification wise.
Right.
Well, you start off as an apprentice, and then you have to put in so much time, and then you take your test to be a journeyman electrician, and then you put in so much time, and then you can take your test to be a contractor, which I am, which I was in '76. Okay, and then after that, it's just a learning thing. But as far as regulations, we go by the city that we're in first. So if I'm in Edmond, if I'm in Oklahoma City, if I'm in Moore, where am I? Where am I at, and what do they want me to do? Okay. Now there's a national code that everybody adheres to, but on the other hand, we still have to see what city we're in because the city can better the code. In other words, if it says you have to do this, they can make you step up and do this. Okay. If you're in that city, so you have to know what city you're in. And
Right.
a lot of people, that's something else that happened the other day. Uh, a guy came in and sold himself to these people, was not a licensed electrical contractor, did all this work. And then he found out he had to call an inspection because sometimes you do and sometimes you don't call inspections, okay? But he found out he had to call an inspection on this job. He couldn't do it. And so he just walks out, and the people paid him thousands and thousands of dollars. He
Oh.
walked away from the job. We had to complete and call the inspection in because you got to be careful who you're hiring. You got to.
Right. Do your due
I see it all
diligence,
the time.
people.
I see it all
Uh,
the time on TV. So
Okay, so how do you to tie that in to make people feel more comfortable? How do you guys structure your billing for a job? Do is it a deal where you're paid, and every contractor is different. So there's not necessarily a right or wrong way. Some people take
Right.
money up front. Some people do it midway in stages. Depending on how big the job is. Some people just get the bill at the end of the job. So how do you guys normally structure yours?
well, most of our
Oh, can't lost him.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. He's fast.
He's working on the answer.
Yeah, he's working on it.
And we do have another question, one more before
You're
we
faster at
go.
this.
we're back.
So-
Yes, you are.
I know. I like it. You got it down like 5 seconds. It's awesome.
That's right.
I
Okay,
got-
so yeah, so
my granddaughter's getting quicker.
Yeah, great.
they learn fast, don't they?
Everything we do is time and material. Now we will bid a job. If somebody wants an estimate, we do 2 or 3 estimates a day, several estimates a day. So
Okay.
if you want an estimate, okay, fine, here's your estimate. But most of what we do is just time and material. So much per hour plus the material, and there it is. That way, everything is apples to apples. You know
Right.
exactly what you're getting. You're paying for and we invoice it to you, and we send it over email, and you look at it, and you have the choice right there, and you can pay it or not pay it. It's up to you.
Okay.
And that's
Okay,
what
good.
people don't realize is the power of paying somebody, right or wrong, is in your hand, whether you
Right.
write that check or you don't. So,
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so we're almost wrapping up. We did have one
One
more
more
question
question.
sneaking in there.
And
Eleanor?
Eleanor or Mike.
Yeah.
My new garage door opener is smart and has LED lights, yet the installer said not to run any other LED lights in the garage because they could interfere with the opener.
what? I'd sure like to talk to that guy. Somebody give me a cell phone number. I'd like to call him and find out what's going on.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So Eleanor or Mike, who to
Yeah,
call.
give Robert a call and he'll talk you
I
through
would have
that.
never. That would have never entered my mind. Period.
Right.
Okay.
But
They're all separate switches. They're all separate. I mean, what difference does it make? Anyway.
so that does, and this would be my last point
it's
that
Eleanor.
I noticed for myself here. I had, was it complex fluorescent bulbs?
Yeah.
No. I think I'd switched to LEDs outside for the exterior lighting, and I had one of those, like a Honeywell wall switch would control it with a timer. It comes on at sunset, all that kind of stuff. And what's happened was it started clicking. It would be click on, click off, click on, click off. And
That
what I found out was that switcher was older and wasn't compatible with the LED.
yeah, they weren't communicating. It's just like what we're going through right now with this Wi-Fi and everything. Everything has to everything has to communicate right. Okay,
Right.
Right.
just like we were talking at the beginning of the show about communication. This has to communicate correctly too. And every new switch that's out there on the market has to be able to communicate well. So if it's not communicating and it's an older style switch, then no, it's sit there quick. You have to go update it. So there's a price to pay with technology.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
know, 'cause that's going to be huge, which will keep you in business because everybody's wanting to upgrade and update their
Yep.
homes to the latest and greatest smart features.
Right.
And then, so
That's
as we're
so
finding
true.
out, it may not necessarily be compatible with the existing wiring.
So, Robert, tell us about the areas that you cover, that you work in.
77 counties in the state of Oklahoma. We do them all. But,
Excellent.
I mean, obviously, if somebody calls from Godibo, they're going to have to pay us to drive out there and drive back. So
Sure.
basically, we do Edmond. We're located in Edmond, so obviously we do Edmond, and all of Oklahoma City, and all we do all of Metroplex.
Okay.
Okay, without no problem. But it's funny lately. I've been getting calls from Shawnee and Chickasha and God knows where, and they can't find an electrician. You know, like
Oh,
Oh,
they're willing to pay us round trip to come down there and fix it and come
excellent.
back
Sure.
just because they can't find anybody down there. It's kind of
Oh,
sad.
well, that and
but
it's
good for
also
you.
it's also hard to find good people, good
It
companies.
is.
Right.
It
That's the other
is.
thing. If you can
That's right.
find a local guy who's a fraudster, that's not going to do you any good. So
Yeah.
reputability is important.
Oh, and Eleanor says that she's known Robert for years. He came to Circle K every day for years when I worked there in Edmond. Good man,
Wow.
honest, personable, and he treats people right.
Well, there's a standing
Aw.
review right there.
Right there. That's
I have a new
great.
best buddy.
Yes, you
Thanks, Eleanor.
do.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so listen, Robert,
Yeah.
we're going to wrap this up, and so we definitely appreciate
Okay.
your time. So tell everybody
Thank you.
how they can find you.
We're located at 16500 uh, North Pennsylvania in Edmond, Oklahoma. Or, I mean, you can obviously these days you just Google it and it comes up Robert Baxter Electric and go to our website and you find out everything great about us. Everything we're going to lie to you about. I'm only
Oh my
kidding.
gosh.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, we know. We know.
Oh,
You got a
yeah.
great sense of humor as well. We'll
Yeah.
add that to your resume.
Yeah, and thank you again for your patience this morning on the technical side of things.
Right. And then, of course, you can find Robert on our website,
Yeah, well, so you can find him at teamtuttlerealty.com.
teamtuttlerealty.com.
Okay, Robert. Hey, they appreciate that. It was a lot of good, helpful information and behind the scenes
Yeah.
information
Good
what people
job.
really
You
want to
shake
know.
hands?
Yeah,
Wanna shake
that's
hands?
it's the
Oh,
virtual
this one.
handshake.
There you go.
All right, sir. Well,
Love
enjoy
it.
the rest of your weekend.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
bet.
it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So, yeah,
All right.
that was a good interview. Once again, that was part of our insider interview series where we talk to our preferred partners here at Team Tuttle Realty because
Yes.
A, we like them. They're nice people. B, we full trust in the services they provide.
Yes, absolutely.
And how they stand by the work that they do. They treat people right. They treat you right. They treat us right.
Right.
So that's why they're a preferred partner. And you can find them on our website as well at teamtuttlerealty.com. You can just hit
Yeah.
the website's the top of the screen as well as our phone number. So call us anytime and we can direct you to any of our preferred partners that we've
Yeah.
talked about here and we've interviewed, including Robert Baxter from Robert Baxter Electric.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like how he's been around for a long time, big
Oh,
family
yes.
outfit.
Yeah.
Willing to serve across the entire state if need be.
Right.
Anchored here, of course, in the Edmond area, but covers all of the Oklahoma City metro.
Correct.
Plenty of crews to get the job done right. Certified, master's, technician, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
He's got all the certifications required
He knows.
from the state and licensed.
He definitely has the experience behind him.
Yeah, insured. Yeah, you've got, my goodness, 30, 40. Man, he's up almost 45 years of experience.
Right.
Yeah, that's impressive. And then,
That's right.
like you said, he's seen it all, and then some in today's environment.
That's
So
right.
there you go.
Oh.